Commissioners, the meeting is live.
Welcome to the February 24th meeting of the Raleigh County Commissioners. Please stand and join in the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wonderful spring day.
Yes.
A lot nicer walking to the office this morning than on Thursday.
Any public comments?
Just a moment.
Oh,
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Shannon. I'm the chairperson for the Raleigh County Reach Committee. And I would like Victoria Fisher to step up here with me, please. Good morning, Victoria. Good morning. It's a little bit of a surprise for her. Victoria is going to be our March Employee of the Month. She was nominated from the health department, and they said she's done an excellent job of caring for the health department facilities despite the unique challenges they've been experiencing. They're deeply appreciative of her hard work and often unrecognized work. Victoria has onboarded very quickly and become a very valuable member of the team. She has done a terrific job for the health department and is a terrific example of a public servant. We've received many compliments how clean the facilities are from patients, and this is entirely due to her hard work and dedication. So thank you so much.
Thank you. One, two, three. One, two, three. One more for safety. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Yes.
I hope my tongue was sticking out.
No, you're good. You were good.
She's great.
any other public comment?
I don't know how you top that. I don't know how you top that.
You had a crowd from my public comments.
No, no, right. Not important.
Let's go to commissioner comments.
Yeah, well, not a lot going on, but just a few things here. Thursday afternoon, I was able to take a tour of the new Conservatory Community Health Clinic across the way. Yeah, thanks to Danny Holgren and everybody there for taking the time to walk me around the facility. It's really nice. They did a really, really good job setting that up and putting it together, and you're kind of feel like it's a maze kind of walking through there, but they've got a good plan both for the present and for the future on how to divvy out the services. Got some staffing needs and some other things they still need to incorporate, but they're moving right along, and very happy to have the space currently, which I think is important. So also Thursday afternoon, I attended a February county meeting here at the VOCC chambers. Very well attended by all three entities, I thought. I think we're only missing one person, I think, from the city, Commissioner Mott. I think everybody else was here. So anyway, that might be, I was just thinking that might be a first, I don't know, but discussions was on the Highway 24 corridor study and plan. There was a good discussion on that. I think we've put together a solid plan on how to move forward with that, and we just need to see how it all transpires. So over the weekend, watched the K-State men's team lose to Arizona State. K-State won the DKU, beat them pretty good, which is always nice. K-State baseball went 3-0 over the weekend. 3 wins over 3 ranked teams down in Texas. So maybe they'll end up starting the season off better than we think. Maybe after all, we'll see on that. Then yesterday afternoon, I went over across the way and checked out the home show.
How was that?
It was busy. They've got a lot more vendors this year than I think in previous years, but usually I don't go on Saturday and I go on Sunday where it's a little
Yeah.
less traffic, but there were, even with the game and stuff yesterday, there was all kinds of people there. So probably because it was nice out, everybody was getting out and about finally, probably. So anyway, always good to check that out, just kind of see some new trends and stuff in the housing. And yeah, so that's all I got.
Okay, well, Thursday afternoon, I attended the joint city county meeting here in the chambers. Program presented by Jared Tremblay, MPO planning manager on the US 24 quarter study. Wasn't really a study, but a discussion on what the four funding for potential projects and moving forward, and everyone agreed to split the cost of the studies equally. Friday and Saturday, I continued studying the RCPD financials. Hope to get with Director Pete this week to clarify some numbers. I also went over today's agenda and documents for the meeting. Sunday, I played in the bell choir at church and later enjoyed the much warmer weather. It was really great to see a lot of people out enjoying the park in the afternoon. It was pretty crowded. Lots of dogs and people. It was great. So, but hopefully the weather will continue. That's all I've got.
Well, as I mentioned that Thursday was the city county meeting. Porter City agreed to extend it through Manhattan out to the Riley corner. And then they also agreed on a cost benefit study for a second river crossing, non-state funded. Everybody knows where that's going to end up. Then Saturday, I had a couple phone calls with residents. One was wanting some more information on the Keats project, and the other was asking about animal control problems, what we're doing. Luckily, worked on both problems. I was able to give good answers. Saturday, watched the K-State women throttle again. And then Sunday, the men seemed to revert to their earlier form. Also, we're in Sunday, thought, we ought to get the car washed. But we didn't have an hour to wait. It's better to the lines.
I went Saturday, it was pretty quiet, so.
Jen said she was gonna try to do it during the day today. Hopefully it wasn't so full. But the cars definitely needed there.
Yeah,
Pretty nasty. That's all I had.
ready for business, commissioners? First item I have, need a motion on several tax roll corrections.
I'll make a motion to approve signing the tax roll corrections as listed.
I would second that.
And moved and seconded to approve the tax bill corrections. All in favor?
Aye.
Sheriff, please sign. Sheriff.
Oh,
Go ahead.
need to clear out this ear. over here. The next one. We also need-
Yep, next one. Mhm. You. Next, Commissioner, have Raleigh County Employee Action Form, Samuel Thompson, new hire volunteer firefighter. And Madison Loomis, new hire as needed child care provider at Health Department. All three, please sign.
Now that child care provider at the health department, is that for Raising Riley or for the?
It's actually,
We've moved from having them do individual divisions to making them have one childcare hiring system amongst them. So the two major divisions will be Raising Riley and MCH. And they will follow the regular hiring practice that we follow for all other positions, including interns and volunteers. So they will have a background check, a drug test, and they'll be in our system formally as a volunteer. But that will be for any division that's approved to use childcare for their services. The two main are going to be Riley and MCH.
Okay. Thank you.
Any changes to the minutes, commissioners?
I would make a motion to approve the minutes as presented from our February 20th meeting, the Raleigh County Commissioners.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the meeting minutes from the February 20th meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Tentative agenda for the commissioners.
And we're starting at 9:30 on Thursday.
I'll probably forget, but yeah, thanks for the reminder.
Yeah,
Mm.
Good.
I've got that panel discussion.
Yeah, we had discussed that a while back.
Yeah. And then Monday I'll be zooming in from Washington DC. I'll be here in person.
It's the third.
Yeah.
Any items for next week's press conference, commissioners? If not, we got Mr. Michael Riscollett at 9 o'clock.
Oh.
I think because there's, maybe it's one picture of the
Since
position.
we're here and we have a break,
So we all-
you can get a group photo of all three of you. Just sitting as you to the outside. Because I'm saying that. I see no in your face.
They don't matter to me. Would like to prepare for that maybe a little better, but.
Okay, we can. We can do it another time. Maybe it's all you. Well, you're born Casco.
Yeah, this is the oldest kind in my collection. There's a story behind it. I did forensics.
Oh, yeah.
They wouldn't, we did student congress on Fridays and then regular speech, but if we were out of town, we had to do speech and we did Friday night. We couldn't just hang out Saturday. So I did an informative speech on the origins of the McElwain family in Tabasco. So as a gag gift, they got me the tie.
Oh, I love it. Well, someday I'd like to hear about the origins of Tabasco.
It's quite interesting, actually.
When do the men play again?
Tuesday, Wednesday, more likely. Did they play last?
Yeah.
No, not really.
They were on the court, but it wasn't good.
They're missing a key cog.
Yeah.
Is he projected to be back for the next one?
Okay.
But also Taylor's, Arizona State's leading scorer. This one team.
This is
Oh,
not.
really?
Too.
Oh, it should have been kind of evened out.
I bet you wouldn't have known it.
Shall we actually?
Yeah, not by 12 at home.
Wednesday night play.
Wednesday.
It's a away game. I can't remember. I think it's at UCF.
Maybe I can catch that one. Did not get to watch yesterday.
I was there with a friend and I tell you what, it was just an exercise in frustration the entire game.
Yeah.
Like
And
they
also,
just,
wasn't
They had a couple of spurts there where you thought, okay, they might get back into this and it's flat out. Oh gosh.
students over that
That's not good.
Saturday for the women's game. It wasn't full. There was some at the end. The GA at the end.
But impressive for a women's game.
It was the student section was large and loud.
Oh, I bet she was. Oh, I know, I just had one. Well, I'm sorry. But not anymore, I'm not done.
well, it's always important.
Yeah, when I go, they say, you don't have to talk. I don't think it not. Give me about 10 seconds. Take your time, you're fine.
See, no one wants to be involved in conversations, right?
I say, oh, there's Vivian, run the other way.
I need to buy a turning present for having discussion shoot.
That's right. Smart man. Smart man.
You
I
can't-
don't know what we're gonna do with lunch. I didn't realize you'd already asked.
Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. I didn't realize. Commissioner, I didn't realize that she'd already asked you. I apologize.
It's okay.
Where are we?
It's gonna stay at the desk. Sit up nice and straight and tall.
Like we know what we're doing.
Yes.
We supposed to not look at you?
No, just don't look at me. And 1, 2, 3, and I'm gonna move around just a bit, so I try to get faces without my phone in front of them. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm just gonna get the commissioners real quick.
You want us to pretend like we're working? I'm sorry.
Wow.
Oh, silly pictures.
At weddings, I have to have people like look at each other and laugh and walk towards me, and I always hate it. But it's all right, we get there. One more, 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
My daughter.
That'll cost you.
Pictures. Paul.
Oh.
And the hire this lady that pictures went out, right before. And we did all these things. We didn't think pictures were changing.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Not forgetting that.
I didn't mean that we could do that. It was mainly to tease her. Gotta have some.
What last one?
That's a fine. Yeah.
Oh, please. Me, I don't think I'm last, but, you know, it's just a bit obscure class. You could leave. Like the lines instead.
Yeah, I don't.
We talked about that. I don't know if that was. Good.
He said they would be more like a trip like that. Like film that one, yeah. People couldn't really see him, they could see. Well, but they wouldn't say, but it's not for now. It's, you know, I don't really see the need for both.
It's dirty, now we can't see anymore.
County in my office. Inside the wall. It's, between the two windows. Really fast and really supposed to have a button.
Oh, really? Must be from the outside, you can see
Yeah,
where they
you can
passed.
probably see it, I've never gone out there and looked.
Huh.
But you for sure can't see it. Those windows. That's.
Oh, yeah.
Can't see it. Years ago.
Yeah, yeah. But all the trucks and stuff going through the alley, it's been,
It's not three. Well, I know they can. Turn the windows.
yeah. What? There's no internet.
Really?
Up there it went.
It was slow, awfully slow.
Here's the women's had senior night. It was interesting. All the parents that are they were introducing, the other players after the ceremony. They were all, you can see they were introducing the players to the parents and stuff. So it was really.
So I said the traffic, it must have been a full house for the traffic. I went out to get my car washed.
So there was a little over 11,000.
Yeah, it was full, except for the south, which is GA, was pretty full. The rest of it was, well, that's what, because we just have GA tickets, usually the top few rows of each section, or the section we're in, or GA. They sold them, we went and sat where we sat, these are our seats. Well, if they're not, they're reserved, again, like the KU game, they make them reserve
They make
seats.
reserve seating.
So we had
Huh.
to go find somewhere else to sit.
Oh, women are doing really good. So that's.
In 196, the ability to play all that well. The women, they played a lot better. They just.
So like KU was doing anything. I didn't watch it, but. Heard the reports about 6 times this week. I was listening to AM radio in the morning, they just go over and over. Same stuff.
Oh.
About Facebook, or use the K-State had a thing about the game, showed the crowd, kind of panning around the crowd. There's the start.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
I don't know, we
Yeah, I
almost
didn't see
recognized
that.
it, we knew it, we saw ourselves.
I can imagine which one it is too.
Let's see. So Sweetly, I don't know who that is.
Just,
Kyler Sweetly.
well, I have no idea who that is.
Republican from Hutchinson.
Now they do have correction.
No, facility
there.
I was assuming he was from Levy.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
And that is a significant piece that is required, not to specifically do primary care services, but the physical screening aspect is a CCBHC requirement. Bless you. Bless you. And the one last piece I have is Pancakes for Pawnee. And Pancakes for Pawnee is an annual event celebrated on Fat Tuesday, which falls on March 4th. Please mark your calendars. Pawnee partners with Early Edition Restaurant to raise money that will help us address mental health needs in the communities we serve. Tickets to the event are $9 and include pancake and sausage meal to be picked up at the restaurant or delivered right to your door. So this is coming up March. Any questions from you? Thank you for your continued support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Next commissioner, you have John Ellerman at 9:15.
All right.
distance back.
Oh.
Like, yeah, I don't know, doesn't seem to be doing a lot for mine.
It is.
Yeah, no, they are good chairs.
Sound wasn't. Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's.
That's what I was gonna. Hey, Vivian?
I was just sending them that message to the help desk.
Okay, so why have you been having so many issues with the sound lately?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I've told IT about it and they said they will be getting new equipment when they have the new system. And just to restart it when it goes out, but that doesn't seem to be a workable solution.
They were in here working on it, I think on, I don't know if it was Thursday afternoon or Friday. They were trying to figure it out, it looked like.
So one thing we really missed from our old counselor, the IT knowledge he had.
Yeah. It was amazing. Fleet bad. Was the audio working on that one? Cause that was a pretty good one.
Got that.
I think Brian's way ahead. He knows how to turn on his laptop.
That may be about the extent of my knowledge of IT, but that is an epic shift.
I think that's part of the job description, right? Must know IT.
All other duties as assigned.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what happened to me.
Yeah.
Well, if that's part of my duties, then works out.
My IT duties were, there's.
Yeah. You just point.
Job one time, before in Colorado. Sit in my office. Boss comes in and says, here's the computer. It is, I didn't know anything about it. No, I had no computer experience. Oh, gee, it's fun.
I can remember when you first got up here in the county. Computer system, mouse, and yeah, our county treasurer would tell us to get on solitaire every once in a while to try and figure out how to learn how to use the mouse.
Solitaire.
89. That when I was looking for another job. Here. We applied a bunch of places and they're saying, well, kind of computer experience. We had computers that just had the accounting, basically just showed the project costs. That's what I pull up some project. Well, you got them, Timberline, something everybody uses that all contractors use. I mean, this is all about your home because you got a personal computer, right? But so you don't. After the second person said that, I went out and bought one.
Well, got one.
And turned it on, couldn't do squat with it. Fiddle with it. Do it with it.
Yep.
Well, things have changed, haven't they?
I'd sit up late at night,
I figured it out.
trying to get something, one time I was able to get something the next night.
How did I do that?
Yeah, I couldn't find it again. I was trying.
I do that now. I haven't closed mine out though, so.
Right, John. Good morning, Commissioners. John Ellerman, Public Works. I'm here this morning to talk about CDL licenses. Since last couple years, probably 4 or 5 more so now, federal regulations have become a little more stringent. I wouldn't say strict, on how we get our CDLs. Before you used to just figured you studied enough or the book enough and go in and take your written test. Get somebody to get you a truck and drive around in it for a while and then go take your driving test. And if you pass, you pass. Now it's a little bit more time consuming. We have to document the study time for the written test and the drive time behind the wheel practice time, with a certified, not necessarily certified, but a competent driver. And those things require a little more effort on the employee getting the license as well as the company are helping them get it, right? So what we do is if we hire somebody without a license, we give them time to study the book, make sure we have some documentation with that study, make an appointment for them, get their CDL or the permit. And then with the driver, we take time. So we're taking time of a driver, someone doing the training, as well as the candidate to get their CDL, the permitting, I guess. So by doing that, we're tying up 2 people on work that they could be used somewhere else in the fleet or in the crews, and hopefully we get a good passing. So there's 2 things here. What we'd like to do is I think maybe start using, there's some consultants out there, some of the community college and some of the tech schools are offering CDL training courses. The tech schools and the community college, sometimes they're a semester long class that we don't necessarily want to send somebody to. The consultant that we're kind of looking at, they'll come in for a certain price, put them in our truck, but they're doing the training with that driver, taking them around, getting them used to driving, showing them what they need to do, highlighting the points, walk around and everything on the test. And then that driver should be good enough to go. They'll take them and we'll get their driver's license. And then sometimes in the past, we've had where we worked with that employee to get their license. And once they got it, they quit and go on to move on to another place that'll pay them more. So, and really the main gist of this is to get you to approve the idea of a CDL training. What did we call it? Forgiveness, where we sign an agreement with the employee. We work with them to get their CDL, and they promise to stay at least a year after that to pay off that cost of an expense of getting their CDL. If they leave early, we'll do some prorated amount to recapture some of that money that we put into them to get their CDL. Then that's just the pretty much the idea behind this here is to get some agreement, get some promise that at least we'll have that employee for a year or so after we did all that work and effort and money to put into them to get their CDL. And of course,
They'll
The thing that John and I have talked about and that you've talked about, and I just wanted to tie back in, is that this goes right along with the message that we've been giving you, that the technical skills are the hard skills to recruit. There's just not an abundance of CDL drivers out there. So we can use this as an incentive to try to hire people who are interested but don't have the CDL. And the other part is we don't really have a mechanism. We've been kind of, between Alvin and John and I, we've been kind of creating a place where we can do a training apprenticeship type situation for the CDL, but this will formalize that a little bit more. And then the second thing I would say, because he said there's kind of a two-part to this, if we hire a consultant, a trainer is really what I would call it. The fact is we have people who are CDL drivers, but not necessarily good instructors of CDL driving, right? And that's not their main job. And then, so they're pulled away, they're kind of thinking about, okay, I have my main job to do, and I've got to get this other person up to speed. And we just don't have that base technical skill in our workforce. So people are not catching on to it as quickly as they were. And so I think the other part is we expect to have a higher success rate with our CDL drivers if we were able to hire a trainer as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Much better said than I did.
I think it's a great idea. I just think we need to be sure we're clear. The first time I heard was your presentation, like prorated. How are we going to prorate? Do we have that figured out?
I don't
And then,
think so much we do, but I would say, I think somebody does.
because the proration is much difference between 300 and 5,500.
Mhm.
And if it's 5,500, I mean, and this is for council. Are we willing to go through the effort to recruit that, and what, can we do to legally recruit something like that?
So the contract that council wrote does not say prorated. It says a full reimbursement.
Right, but he did mention.
Right, he
prorated.
mentioned
Yes, we-
He didn't
prorated,
say prorated.
but what he's presenting you today.
That's why I
doesn't
brought
have
it
that.
up, because I
Yeah.
did not see it in any of the documentation, but he said prorated.
Yeah. So that I think has to be clear, but that was my intention, and how Bryant wrote the contract was not prorated.
So can we recoup it, Bryant? I mean, outside of a payroll deduction, because people figure things out. I got a $5,000 bill. I'll give a 1 day notice. That's
Yeah.
pretty easy to figure out. And we can only recoup so much on the last paycheck.
But definitely that 5,500 is more than most last paychecks.
Right.
Right. Plus, we can't take the entire last paycheck.
So there's a really wide range of cost here from 300 to 5,500. What's the difference?
So the 300 would just be if we use them to do the theory training, which is for the written. That's what all they are doing is supplying videos that we already have. So we're probably not going to use the $300 portion. They'll supply the videos for them to review and then go take their test. So the 5,500 is actually, they come out here, they'll spend at least a week with the driver. Or as long as they need to be comfortable with them to pass the test. They're gonna stay as long as they need to, because their success rating is good for their business, right? So, and they're at, 90-something%.
I think our joint recommendation is to use the entire program, the 5,500. The amount is high, but not compared to hiring, finding, training, and taking 2 people off the job. So our recommendation, I believe that we would like to see, is to use the program at 5,500. And then tell the employee, and as much legally possible that we can, to charge them if they don't stay for a year. Which is probably, in my mind, Brian should speak a little bit to it legally, but in my mind, it's more of an incentive of saying, we're very clear about saying, hey, this is what we're investing in you. You can see it. You sign off the agreement when you're hired, when you start the CDL program. This is what the expectation is. And then at the last paycheck, Rich is right. We can't take the entire amount. There are certain things we can't go below the poverty line. We have to take benefits. We have to take taxes, all those things. But they understand that they would be responsible for that.
Like I said, Rich was saying, they basically our payrolls a week. Like they're paid a week into their second.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So if they, that Friday, they get their check and they go, bye, all we got is a half a
That's right.
paycheck, which isn't gonna be anywhere,
No.
close to that.
No.
That's my own concern, is how to making sure we can get the money back from them.
And we'd be similar to any other situation where we say you have to return your equipment, you have to return your clothing, you have to return these items. I mean, we've had people leave unexpectedly and have laptops, iPads, other equipment, fire, public works. And so that we communicate that this is your legal obligation. We communicate that we have the authority to pursue this legally. And then we determine whether or not the cost is worth what the equipment or the risk is.
I would say in response, and Rich, thank you for identifying this and bringing it up, number one, and then for the discussion of everyone I really think is added to this and kind of set me up to give my statement, right? Enforceability of this really comes down to a case by case basis, right? If an employee was towards the very end of their period, and then for some reason they walked away, we might have a discussion about whether we wanted to. But if you're up at the front, right, there, regardless of doing, since we're up into the $5,500 territory, I would say it's worth it to go and enforce this as a judgment. And what we would do is we would just go and file a case in the district court under, there's a special procedure for things that are smaller than I think $20,000. And that's what we would do. And primarily we would do that, and that would be beyond whatever we were able to recoup with the final payment. And while it may take us a long time to get paid back, right, or somewhat long, we would just ask for the court to garnish wages from their future employer, and it would be entered as a judgment. And the reason why I talk about the facts is, let's say somebody, what I'm worried about is we pay for someone to get their CDL, and then they say, well, there's a job that's $2 an hour better, and we're going to go jump and take that job. We're just going to use Riley County to pay for it and move on. And that's why we haven't signed this agreement up front. And then I get to go argue that to the judge. And that's a pretty compelling argument, right? And so I'm not worried about the proration so much as I'm worried about, we're going to take this on a case by case basis. If for some reason an employee is 11 months in, right, that's a different thing than, oh, I stayed here for a month and a half. I didn't like it. Sorry to speak ill of my generation. I'm a millennial, so I have no loyalty, right? There's $2 an hour different at pennies, concrete. I'm going to go there. No, we're not here for that. And I don't care if it's an efficient use of I think it is an efficient use of my office's time to communicate that the county will not be taken advantage of. Does that help, commissioners?
Well, and also, I suppose, if you do that once.
Agreed. That's the main impact.
I would think.
And even before that, if these guys know that that is what will happen, they will be very clear when they're offering the opportunity that this is serious commitment.
So what happens if either they don't pass or they don't finish? Then what happens?
Well, that's a great question. And I think
Trainer.
I think that from our perspective, that does kind of go over into the employer's, risk category, right? Then we're going to be looking at it. Did they take it seriously? Right?
Yeah.
Did they make a good faith effort? And for some reason, it's just too darn hard to drive a vehicle that's requires a CDL. And I think that's a situation that, again, we're going to take on a case by case basis.
But
right?
also, Catherine, that's part of the agreement that John would make with the trainer.
Okay.
Yeah, but still, I mean, as you know, that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So is HR and is the director willing to part ways with the individual at that point? Because we can't just create a position for someone to hang around and do whatever. And so we have to be willing to do that. And I think that's a great question. We have to be willing to go to that effort because if it's 90%, right, there's 1 out of 10 that isn't making it, and it will happen to us eventually.
But I understand they would come back, like there's a certain amount that they would come back and train if the person, because we've had people take one portion or another and not pass. And then they've been able to study. I'm looking at you, Alvin, to make sure I'm talking correctly, but they've been able to study and go back.
And like I said,
We have that now,
this is
yeah.
just all things
Yeah.
we have to think about and have ironed out before. And the director needs to be willing to say at the end of the day, if he or she has done it 2 or 3 times, sorry, it's just not working.
Mhm.
Yes, we already have that in some of our job descriptions, actually, that you'll receive your CDL within 6 months or a year.
Year.
And then they know that in the interview, they know that in the job offer, that if you can't get it, then if it doesn't happen, then we're gonna have to separate ways, yes. Haven't had to do that yet.
I just want everyone to be clear that, you know, not everything's gonna be positive on this.
And John and Alvin and Evan really enjoy it because I do remind them on a regular basis. I ask them how that process is going. They really enjoy that, so. Oh, Michael enjoyed it too for last year.
I have a quick question. This might be for legal. I have some CDL position will not require the CDL drivers in my location as well. Is it possible that you could make the probationary employee have some skin in the game, I guess, and maybe take a certain percentage out of their paycheck every pay period and then reimburse it at the end of the year once they pass? I don't know what from a tax standpoint, but to me, that would have an advantage and it would make the employee really harden down to study because they have a certain taken out of the check. And then once they pass, they get reimbursed. And if they quit 6 months into it, then they forfeit whatever's there. And that would help us recoup the money. Is that a possibility to do something like that?
Is it possible? We would have to make that happen without speaking to the, whatever the tax ramifications of that would be. Basically, we can do it, right? I think it's a question of, number one, competitiveness, right? There'd have to be a separate agreement where they would have to authorize us to deduct part of their
It can be done, but it's not necessarily
salary.
worth it. And I don't know if the incentive would be that much better, and you might lose some of that recruiting benefit.
And I do have one other thing to share, but not after.
No, go ahead.
No. The other thing that is somewhat helpful in putting some of this that I try to use, because this is quite a bit of money, of course, right? Many of the CDL positions that people would be looking to apply for, they have a 1-year experience requirement. So there is kind of a built-in incentive. If I'm going to go and try to make this my career, and then I like to think about Riley County as like, you know, once we get our hooks into you, and if you're a good person and you fit in our culture, right? Because we do take care of our people, get them for a year, and then a lot of people like to stay. I mean, I know that I'm about a year in, and I kind of love this place. So, not kind of, I do. That's all I got.
Okay. Actually, I don't think that's a bad idea. I see what you're saying about disincentive, but I mean, a lot of times people may not be pursuing their CDLs because they don't have the 5,500 in their pocket to do it in the first place. So I could see where that could potentially have some benefit, but not really going to go there. But what the other problem you addressed, John, is after they're trained, they go someplace else. So have we really dug in to see if we are competitive enough for someone with their CDL at the end? So we keep them, or once they accomplish that, you get this much of a pay increase at the competitive rate for a CDL, because we don't want to go through all this work, because you guys have put a lot of work into it. It isn't the first time I've discussed it with you guys, to make sure that once we are successful, that we keep them.
So part of that is we hire them on as an operator one, at least in public works side, as an operator one. And the requirement of a 2 is to have that CDL. So that's where we want them anyway. That's where I expect to put them.
Question is that high enough to keep them?
So John and I talked a little bit, but we didn't run numbers. We haven't really lost. We don't have a large number of people that we've lost. We're kind of putting this in place because we're going to spend the money up front if you approve it. So we want to have some incentive, but we haven't had a rash of people leaving or getting their CDLs and leaving. We probably have more of a challenge just helping people get their CDLs because we have to invest the time and the study time and those things. And our ideal, we can do the hiring 2 ways. Our ideal is exactly what John said. Start someone as an operator 1, which isn't exactly all the things that we need to be sufficient or, to really be efficient in public works. But that then says, okay, you get a pay bump when you get your CDL and you get to the operator 2. We also have, and what John was referring to earlier, is because of being competitive and the number of people we've hired. I know Alvin and I have looked at that operator 2 position. sometimes for an extensive period of time because we have 16 of them. We have hired them at a 2 with that 1-year caveat that you will not have a job after a year if you do not complete the CDL. And so sometimes we've had to do that because we weren't able to fill the position. So direct answer to your question is I have not looked at the competitive rates since we did the pay study. So they were competitive at that point. Things might have shifted. It's not a bad idea. I know we're competitive to local government, but that's not our competition.
Right, no, it's not with any of our jobs.
Yeah.
Well, saying we haven't really had problems with it. That's just something in place in case. So,
Yeah, anytime we have a pattern of people leaving in a certain area or in a certain job, we really try to look at that. It's not, honestly, it's not generally pay alone, but it can be a part of that.
I mean, I think it sounds like a good idea, but I think I
with it too, yeah.
with the best restrictor safety net as we've got,
Get a motion, Commissioner?
Yeah. We'll go ahead and make a motion then to approve the use of the training loan forgiveness agreement in Brown County.
I would second that.
been moved and seconded to approve the use of the training loan forgiveness agreement. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm for Anna.
John.
Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Good morning, Commissioners. Anna Burson with the Riley County Appraiser's Office. I'm just here to remind the public that the annual change of value notices will be mailed this Wednesday, February 26th to property owners. These CVNs reflect the changes in property value due to the fluctuation in the local real estate market and or changes made to the individual properties, such as additions, demolitions, classification changes, or other improvements. As in previous years, this upcoming CVN mailing will contain a form for requesting a valuation appeal to ensure appeals are initiated by individuals authorized under Kansas statute. All forms need to be filled out, signed, and then they can either be emailed, mailed, dropped off, or faxed back to the Riley County Appraiser's Office within 30 days of the mailing date. The email address the forms can be emailed to is valuationappeal@rileycountyks.gov. The last date to request an appeal is March 28th. That's the 30 days from the date of the mailing. The appeal phone line is set up for general questions to request information. And once they've completed the forms and we've received them, we will contact property owners for scheduling those appeals. For more information about the relationship between the valuation of property tax, they can visit our website. Property data for all parcels in Riley County can be accessed through the county's website. Values will be updated by noon on Friday, February 28th. And if you're in need of any additional information, they are welcome to contact our office. All I have. Thank you.
Next, Commissioners, you have John Allen at 9:30. That's past 9:30.
Good morning again. This time I'm asking to adjust Public Works and noxious weed hours for administrative staff to the same hours as the downtown office buildings have. We find ourselves trying to be consistent with the rest. And I think ever since you approved the office building to go that way, I barely got in the office on my way back before I was asked, when are we going to go there? So here we are. We're asking to go to 7:30 to 5 Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to noon on Fridays, mainly for the office staff, parks, and the road and bridge crew will stay on their normal schedules for now. And for sure, the road and bridge crews, they like their 410s. And actually, they're planning on starting that March 10th with the time change. So it didn't seem to work. Half days don't work for the road crews, where by the time you get out to where you're going, You might get a mile or two of road done if you're lucky and before you have to come back. So they're gonna stay in that schedule. Parks for right now are gonna stay on the 5/8. But I don't see why maybe they couldn't, except for big mowing days or mowing season. Where they get the better benefit to stay longer days, but as of right now, it's just the office staffs, administrative staff doing that. I think we don't have very many customers anyway, walk-in customers. The ones that do come to the buildings, drop their bills, payments into the Dropbox anyway. And as long as we let know ahead of time, I think the people coming in to get the keys to the Keats, to rent the Keats out for the weekend will make arrangements. A lot of time they're in there on Thursdays getting the key anyway. So we didn't really set a start date, but we can do it as early as next 1st of March or wait till 1st of April to get into that, to give plenty of notice to our customers that already, I think most of them think we're already on this other schedule anyway.
Vivian to get the word out. How much time? A week or 2 weeks?
Say 2 weeks, maybe.
Probably a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
If we can get the word, she'll get the word out. There's still gonna be questions.
I did just want to add from the weed department's perspective, it has been, to reiterate what John said, this change frankly has already been made. Most of our constituents come out there and they're surprised, if we're closing at 4, and then they'll come out maybe Friday afternoon and think that we're already closed. So from our standpoint, we're not very customer oriented either. We do have chemical sales in the spring. But the being open until 5 will be a big bonus for us. We often had folks coming out trying to buy chemical and we close at 4. So this would really be a win-win. It really would for us. So I just want to add from a public or noxious weed standpoint to the public, it would be a real benefit. So I want to add that as well.
I would make a motion to approve adjusting administrative office hours for public works and noxious weed, household hazard waste. We changed to 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday and 7:30 a.m. to 12 noon on Fridays. The date this is effective will be determined.
A second.
Been moved and second to approve adjusting the administrative office hours for public works and noxious weed household hazardous waste. And change 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday and 7:30 to noon on Fridays. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
John, next commissioner, you have Amanda Webb at 9:50.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't get started. Just restarted it. I just had to turn it all off. You start over again. Just something. Something got in there.
How are you?
Hey, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
I haven't been here.
Yeah,
Seen you
it's been a long
35 years.
time. Yeah. How you been?
Good. I just came back to town, so.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
What are you up to?
Just applying for every job I can and,
Okay.
making constructive use of my free time at the moment.
Okay, gotcha. Good deal.
Yeah, good seeing you.
Yeah, good seeing you too.
I was just gonna say, it's really the payments you have. See over there?
Yeah, 9:50.
Yeah, so yeah, it's gonna be,
Man, you got that?
The exciting stuff. Okay, Ryan, I sent you an email about water tower.
I saw that.
You guys,
I mean,
You,
wasn't exactly sure what
I haven't reviewed it yet, because it's been a while since I've been down.
Okay,
I think you covered, the last one I saw covered most everything. You asked for.
Yeah, so, you know.
I think it left maybe one antenna spot on the tower.
Well, I like.
okay. Well, then, did I already look at this?
I don't know. It was placed at Star State,
Yeah,
and then it was sitting there.
okay,
I didn't do anything with it, except for I had a place to review it.
yeah,
They never came back with this, except for now, because we didn't do it.
okay. Well, I'll just give it a look, see, and say we're good to go.
And then I'll bring it back to the commission.
Okay,
Yeah.
If you agree with what's in there.
sure.
I have something for, Jay. If he wants to read through this,
Okay,
I was gonna present that Thursday, that's the elevators.
okay,
I thought you'd like to at least see what they said, which is what we thought is everything is the same as what they said before.
okay.
The
Well,
price might be better. The price is right at or a little better than what we
Really?
just for.
no, they're German and the Germans are making money these days.
Hey, grandpa, again. Hey, congratulations. Yeah, catching me. I'm not gonna catch up. I only have two to catch up, and one of them's not working on it.
Get 5 at the end of May.
Gentlemen, you know how intimidated I am by this discussion, because if I meet the one, right, then we actually, can you fathom how much older I will be than both of you when I'm having that conversation?
Right.
I'll be in my seventies.
That's not.
That's not good. It's not good at all.
They keep talking.
You guys are like youngins.
I mean, real old kids at this point in time, I'm already dead.
Yeah. No, you're not in a, oh, what's the guy that, oh, George Clooney, you're not in George Clooney, man, let alone, what's the other, is it Robert De Niro that's having kids?
Yes.
No way.
No,
No way.
don't look at me.
Yeah, I'm curious to find out what our next 2 flavors are gonna be. Our kids don't find out in advance,
We
except
weren't,
for the youngest one. The youngest one is.
they weren't, because I looked at the doctor has some pronouns shot.
I'm past it. I'm
But
good.
what she said was wrong.
There's wisdom.
Actually, she was saying she was good rocking, but when they actually know it's, you know.
Look, I found this thing.
Yes.
I do. I like
Girl, boy, girl.
It's the right type of paisley and it's the right type of purple.
That's what I was
Follow
thinking.
that trend, I hope, because the next.
At the
Yeah, the next one, we'll see, yeah.
They had a
Follow the
t-shirt
trend,
on
so
sale
the
in
next one will break
1968.
that.
Mhm.
You know, Willie, that got stolen.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And this never happens.
Yeah, so all that basketball.
But nobody wants to
Yeah.
be,
Oh, gosh.
all love the same.
Check out there, check out cats, puzzle.
It's exciting, it's fun.
Pick up something new, maybe, I don't know.
Went to, I went, I walked in the doors just to see what they were for having a big sale. And I found. Have you ever found something there? Regular how we had it in Warriors Item. Made it.
That's a good point.
Like, it actually made it.
Was it defective or something?
No, it wasn't, it was like. Regular looking noise. And I'm like, how did it, I mean, all my, I just, I like.
I can tell it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's lit, so you know what I mean.
They are.
I think it's a measure.
You're gonna take this from me?
Longer stuff.
Yeah,
See how tiny they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, how tiny.
See how that-
That's at that age.
Nothing ever goes on sale. So
Like,
I got my,
Too
it's
fresh
like
for
lining
me.
up, and it's like a big baseball full of.
yeah, it's like you can break them.
that season's right upon us. I don't know what you think of this cat team yet, but kind of started off the first weekend really bad on the pitching side. Pitching came around over the weekend. They're playing number 3 LSU, so we'll see. This week, this is a lot of good.
It's awesome.
I hate that color purple. Just it's because it's just slightly off.
Yeah, and it's with that yellow, it's just, oh, it stands out so much.
Like,
Did it okay.
I'm not an LSU fan.
Okay with LSU, I just like.
22. I've got to just.
I wouldn't have a school name.
I like him better than me.
But they let us all agree to.
I used to, like, I was raised to be a Bama fan.
I think it was right after they.
Yeah.
And then it's,
Yeah, grandpa.
Yeah. I have always liked your school. Like out of all the SEC schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, John, I think it'll be hard to catch me because we have predicted we'll be having one about every 6 months.
Yeah, there's no way. I don't want them to have them.
You don't want to babysit that much, do
No,
you?
no, I'm fine with that part, but I don't think the kids can handle that.
Gotcha.
And the other one, she's not ready yet.
Yeah.
What time do we start?
9:50.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Oh, right here.
6 seconds late.
Oh, yeah. Don't worry, I'll make up for it.
To be noted.
All right. Good morning, Commissioners. Amanda Webb, Planning Director. I am here to give you a comprehensive plan update report, as we've been doing monthly again. Kind of changed up a little bit of the look of some of my report here. I seem to do that every month, just kind of trying to figure out, okay, what's the most, important information, or, what can I say just quickly, but adoption date, we're still targeting October 2025, October of this year. You folks received the schedule that Stantec put together, and that's out on our website. So we are going by that, of course. If I don't anticipate, and we're not anticipating any deviations from that, but certainly if something comes up or needs to change, obviously I'll let you folks know right away. But that is our target adoption date. We should have everything done and completed, and you folks have adopted that. So, and then it will be in effect. Website, that's where you can find all the latest information, including that schedule I referenced and a bunch of other information. We just have a dedicated website there. Our email address, we also have a dedicated email address. Of course, folks can always just email me as well. It's not like I'm gonna, ignore anything that comes to my address. But what's good about having a dedicated email address for the comp plan is then, and that's all in my inbox, and I get that directly. I can know that it's specific to the comp plan, and I can, make sure I organize it in such a way that, it gets accounted for. So if folks want to use it, it's there. If folks just want to email me, that's perfectly fine too, but that's available. So with our consultant Stantec, we've been meeting a lot. We've had another comprehensive plan committee meeting that I'll talk about in a minute. Meeting a lot with Stantec and having a lot of conversations. They're still doing a lot of the background work that does take some time. That's a lot to collect, make sure they're referencing, the correlated plans that we have out there and the codes and all that different sort of stuff. They're just kind of learning and again, collecting information about Riley County, about the plans we have in place, about what's going on. They're working on our market analysis, which is, what do we have in terms of residential, industrial, commercial, that kind of stuff. What do we have currently going on basically in terms of land use? That should be ready the next couple weeks. They're also working on an existing condition study, which should be ready in April. And that's going to tell us the big picture right now. What's going on, big picture right now? What is our current population? What is our land use capacities? What kind of housing do we have already? All of that stuff that we need to know, our base basically, which is right now, to start from, so we know how to plan based on what we're going to need or what we're going to want. So they're working on that. Again, that should be ready in April. All of that, of course, you folks will be viewing and reviewing and all of that. Let's see. So they're also working to update our demographics. That's our population data, socioeconomic factors, all of that. Of course, you folks will get that information as well. They're kind of reviewing the different resources that we use for that information to make sure we can use it's all assumptions. Of course, that's what population forecasting is. So they're just collecting the resources that they need to make those future determinations. So all of that information, of course, will come to you folks so you can review it and make sure you're comfortable with it as we go forward through this process. So
And then, oh, and we are working on a stakeholder list. So that is a little bit different from the comp plan committee. Stakeholders are, and there's going to be overlap in agencies and whatnot. But stakeholders are who you're going to talk to a little bit more in depth. You're going to have those kind of one-on-one interviews, get a little bit more in-depth information from them, and the needs and wants for Riley County. So we're working on collaboratively putting that together with Stantec. They kind of have, some of the different groups that they are important to hit. And we're adding to that to make sure we get everybody. Ideally, most people would be on our, most agencies would be represented on our committee. But as I've always said, I'm not going to force anybody to be on our committee, but I still want input. So if we can get somebody to be a stakeholder or give us some sort of input in another manner, that is perfectly fine. Once we get that stakeholder list put together, I will get that to you folks so you can take a look at it and review. And if you want to add anything, we can definitely do that. And we're going to do the stakeholder engagement over the next several weeks. So we'll have that list finalized here soon. And I'll have that to you so you can review and let me know if you have any comments or questions on it. Then our comprehensive plan committee, that's our technical advisory group. So we reconvened at the beginning of February because again, now we have Stantec on board. So Adam, our project manager, he made the presentation to that group. Just kind of ran through, he had a PowerPoint presentation that he gave, just kind of discussed the methodology for the plan, kind of how they approach comprehensive planning and updating our plan. Highlighted some of the identified challenges that we've already, talked about these last couple of years as we've been working on our plan update. Of course, there's more that are likely going to be identified that will, come to light as we, kind of kick things back off here. We talked about
I knew there was a reason I bought two. Of
You don't have any chocolate hidden away, do you?
course I do. What do
I
you
want
want?
some chocolate.
You want mint, dark, gray, milk? I'm just gonna bring on the dish.
Okay,
There we go.
I need some chocolate. It's just like,
Everybody needs some chocolate.
Too many choices.
I don't care, just so it's not peanut butter.
Oh.
I should have known he had chocolate.
No, I'm good.
He has a little nuggets.
I'm good.
I usually have some.
Test. Works.
Everybody's taking a little. Here.
Right out here soon.
Maybe. Then we'll have all we stay warm.
Some they're saying that's what we can have.
The what?
Ash Wednesday's a week.
Yeah, it's really late this year.
It's because we had the extra couple of days in February and then the holidays. The holidays were short last year.
It is, but
Yeah, it's later stuff.
usually I've heard that, but all of a sudden, oh.
That seems awfully early, gosh. I don't know.
I've got it in storage.
What is it, 45 days and then Easter? Is that what it is?
Trying to keep this house closed.
That'd be the middle of April. Yeah. 40 days.
40 days, but Sundays don't count.
Right.
It's 40 days. I think there's up 45.
I'll try to find something.
So that'd be maybe in April. That's
Trying to
about
stay outside of the city limits of Manhattan. And all the requirements that I have. I can go. North.
You don't say you care about our team together.
With 4.7 acres.
4.7. Not nice. How much for what?
3,000.
Good night, so.
It's a walkout basement with 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths upstairs. Well, yeah, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths upstairs. 2 bedrooms and 1 bath downstairs. I have the family room and the building. Very close.
So it's a big house for a bachelor.
Well, my daughter and I right now, and her girlfriend moved up here. My daughter graduates and her girlfriend graduates and went off to college, so. It is. But it's a good place for, the kids to come to live and what I do. So. For sure, I could do, I could have homesteaded if you had
chickens or something out around that, but. Cause I don't have HOA or I'm not the students, but. I definitely can do a little bit more out there. That's gonna make sure I get blown away. Tornado. Given what happened last year. The West Plains.
Lightning usually doesn't strike the same place twice, so.
I heard that it was kind of a, not necessarily dominant, but. You know, it can get windy out there.
That can happen anywhere
Yeah,
around here.
well, I mean, well, I've lived here almost 6 years and we've had like a couple come through, here in town, so I mean. Like you said, it could happen anywhere.
Yes, it can.
I think where all that sort of happened. Having that time, was when, the tree limb broke off of, here in the front yard.
Ah, it's the dove. It is the good stuff. You want more soup? No, this is great. Thank you.
Oh, well, here's another. Take back and try. So, truffle.
Oh, man, fancy.
He's really not having-
I'm passing this down the line.
Okay.
But first,
We should. That's exciting. Of course.
Yes, sir.
Very exciting.
try anything else?
It's been stressful, but it's not too bad.
We'll all stop.
You're liking.
Okay, what
I'm trained for it.
What do we got? We've got dark chocolate, milk chocolate almonds, that little. There's.
Yeah, we got it. He's for sure. That's what it is. You like me? I really, you're like piggies.
Hey, well, it's not the one. You know,
Okay. We'll get the template. Okay.
Yes, Commissioner?
It was interesting, and, we put it up on the market in. November, October, and, it was about 85% down.
Oh, yeah. So I just brought that home. Wherever.
Nice.
So I guess.
Personalize it.
Tile. I upgraded my. I think
snows, that's. Well, I got. Okay, that's why I got it. Man, did that. Said I wouldn't go into it, but.
I mean, they were,
Can we see pictures of them? So.
me too. Hopefully, well, today was supposed to be the cutoff, but they missed it a little bit, so, yeah. Hopefully, let's see, countertops are supposed to go in this week, tile's supposed to be finished this week, or final services. And then the house is finished off last week, so.
Show me pictures. I'd like to see them.
I will, when everything's said and done.
Yeah.
We will.
That's exciting.
That's the most consequential stuff Ellen's had in a long time. What's that? Consequential element. Usually his this stuff with these two major things the same day.
Oh, yeah.
And they're, I mean,
The John Ellerman show today. I forgot today was in our gov.
Yeah.
Brought my lunch and everything.
Oh, you just have to take it back home and bring it back tomorrow.
Just leave it here. I will, Lord willing, I'll be back.
That's the plan, huh?
Mhm. That's my plan. If his plan's different, I am not happy. There used to be some old guys that always read the paper and they always say, yep, first thing I read is the obituary, make sure I'm not in it.
Yeah. Is it my time? Pretty close.
Darn near.
15 seconds.
Oh, there we go.
You're one
You're on the
commissioner
hot seat
short.
now.
Oh, there she is.
All right, Commission, I think I'm now in. Brian Parker, County Counselor, and a couple things I wanted to bring you up to speed on. First of all, we have another upcoming Court of Appeals case in the Prairie Wood Manor. It's an ongoing zoning appeal, and Jacob, the deputy, he's doing a great job. We just talked about some of the legal arguments and that this morning. Looks like one of us maybe making, I don't know who's going to draw the short straw, maybe making a field trip to a law library because we need to look up something and they call it a restatement. It's like a treatise of the law, right? Because Kansas doesn't have any law specifically on some point that we're looking at. And so we're probably going to go and do that. But that's there on that. I think I'm trying to, there's a couple of other things that will be at some point coming up before the commission sooner rather than later. Out to me at this point is something that to really bring up. I've been working with some departments on some projects that they'll be presenting in cars. So I think with that, I'll stand for questions, and if something else pops into mind, I'll be sure to mention it during the process.
That Prairie Wood was one of them. I had a question on exactly, because I remember they were doing something. They were suing us. Is that because we allowed what's it called? The wine, liquid arts.
Liquid arts.
So we didn't change the zoning. They just updated the PUD.
Yes.
Saying they're still fighting that.
They're still fighting it, and we're of the county's legal position is that the merely updating a PUD under our regulations and under state law does not constitute rezoning, and then what they're arguing is that somehow our regulations and they try to point to some language in our regulations that talk about an update to a PUD needing to go back through a hearing process, that somehow that conflates to also there being the notice and everything, or not just notice, but the protest petition right that's talked about under state statute, right? We would not just disagree with that claim. We don't understand where they're coming from, but that's kind of the litigation in a nutshell. And then there's another issue about, because even if they were to have been found to have the ability to go forward, and Jacob's the expert on this case, but I'm doing it off the top of my head. Even if they were to have been found the ability to protest, they were some signatures short, right, for the protest petition, and they're well represented by counsel. It's Dick Seaton that's arguing, and so he's trying to. Mr. Seaton's trying to argue that if you only have one of the property owners that owns several that own it together in what's called a tenancy in common, that's good enough to sign off on a protest petition. Well, the law of the state of Kansas says not so much. And so that's where we're coming from. And the specific point that we're going to go get some law. I mean, like I said, Dick's a good attorney, right? He's now trying to argue that somehow there's a difference between a possessory right to sign off on things and the right of ownership to sign off on things. And now how we're going to deal with that is, well, first of all, the statute requires it to be the owners of the property. And secondly, we're going to talk about what does it mean to be an owner. And I might find some horn book or some treatise that talks about that, because something so obscure will have never been ruled on in the state of Kansas. We don't sue each other enough. You have to go out to the coast for that. We really
There's incentive.
Sue.
They're trying to support the brotherhood.
Right. Stop security.
Attorney help some attorneys out. So that's where that is. And I know I got down way too much into the weeds, but that's basically what's going to be. And it's
I didn't remember what they were arguing.
it's complicated.
Yeah.
It's complicated, like most litigation is. Especially when you've got good counsel on the other side, there's going to be legal issues that, and unfortunately in this area of law, I find it, I believe the judges will find it especially boring. And that's always, I mean, it's just so dry, guys. It's not like a good criminal case where you're, it's zoning and then it's arcane issues of property ownership. I mean, who gets excited about, unless you're a geek like me, and I find it fascinating. So that's why I do this for a living. Any other questions, commissioners?
Animal control, or not animal control, animal shelter contract. Is that coming up soon?
Yes, and we can schedule time to discuss that. It looks right now that so the way that the compensation has been set up, and I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth. And I mean, Rich, please feel free to articulate this, because the compensation had been negotiated before I came on board. But right now, we have asked them to document the animals that are being surrendered voluntarily, because nothing's being picked up right now since we don't have animal control services yet. So they have documented several that have been surrendered from Riley Countyans, from supposedly outside of the city of Manhattan. And so that supports part of that funding. And the rest of it has been, I believe it was negotiated with the understanding that, okay, the remainder of the funding that goes to Prairie Paws is to house animals that have been captured by animal control and pay for their housing. Well, we don't have that yet.
Right.
And so it would seem that we could do some adjustment, right, based off of, and then we could be numbers dependent based off of just how robust the animal control enforcement ends up being. And I understand that everyone is over on the law board, of which 2 of our commissioners are members, and I think our 3rd is tracking pretty closely, right? That there is going to be detailed study before there would be any attempt for the Riley County law enforcement agency, the Riley County Police Department, to take over those services. So I know we've got a little bit of time and waiting. And I would ask.
They're getting the numbers together.
They are.
That's what we had asked them.
Okay.
Because I don't remember when is our existing contract with them up?
Oh, there. So it is, we are now into the phase of it as of the end of this month where we can set what we believe the dollar amount of.
So it's March 1st, this.
Yes.
Okay.
And
So I
so,
was thinking that's coming up.
yeah, and I would think that perhaps even in Thursday's meeting, I can send around, I think I've forwarded it once, but their current numbers of what they're showing. And then someone that's for a living, probably Rich or Brittany could talk about what seems like, I mean, would that seem reasonable? I mean, I'm just making this up from up here, but I don't presume to know what's reasonable or not. I know what they sent us. So we could try to have that for Thursday's meeting. Would that be helpful? And then get some direction about where to negotiate for future remuneration?
Yeah.
It was around 5%, 4 or 5% that Riley County, the rural people brought in. Do they have any projections of if there was an animal control that would go pick them up, if it would be more? Or do they have any projections of that? I mean, that's kind of what we're wondering.
Unless Rich is aware of any, I don't know. I have none. I think, and I will, because I think it's useful for the process. And I've even had some discussions with Director Pete just on a coordination level of what would it look like in terms of agreement from us. Basically, if the law board elects to move forward, right, with having RCPD assume those duties, right, the way that I would think that that gets accomplished legally is through what's called an interlocal agreement that would specify who does what, and more importantly, who doesn't own what, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Specifically that we don't take over ownership of the city facility that is not even in our county. But then also there would need to be a massive, I shouldn't say massive, that's hyperbole, but we'd probably have some communication with the cities to make sure that they have ordinances that could be enforced so that, you know, stray dogs and I presume cats. I've always thought that cats are entirely feral creatures, except for my own, who's mine, right? She's not feral. But
You may want to eat you in your sleep, but
that haunts me. What you have told me haunts me at all times. I look at her now and I'm like, would you eat me? Yeah. So anyway, that's where that would, so there would be, even while you guys are looking at numbers, right? Then there would be a process that would need to be engaged in so that we document, right? Because these are not traditional law enforcement activities. They haven't been handled there thus far. Does that help?
Yeah, one thing I was concerned about was like maybe the MOA going from the 80-20 split. And now we were told by the chair of the law board that wouldn't happen, that they would always take care of it. So I don't know.
Always.
I know, that's what.
For a long time.
I know. And, you know, that's what I'm kind of concerned about, that, you know, that's in Platte County and, you know.
Shall we say that as your legal counsel, I have not had occasion, because it is not entered into my sphere to put together an agreement, right? I have expressed to Director P that I'm certain that defining that there be that under no circumstances would that be considered a Bradley County facility. And the reason why I was suggesting an interlocal agreement, or it could be just an agreement amongst governments, right, is that that's generally the best way to handle an agreement amongst governments, is to clarify, right, that these are not law enforcement activities that would require RCPD to have facilities provided by the county, right? So I just think that good agreements make for good neighbors, and it should be established upfront what the expectations are so that we don't wind up owning a facility, the county that is not ours, that may need improvements in the future. So.
Okay. I just wanted to bring that up because it was.
Well, that's one, and you talk about coordinating. That's one thing I brought up with the law board last week was coordinate regulations for all the small cities and the county to make sure there aren't 6 different regulations that they have to, animal control has to work over, try to coordinate them all together. Because I know ours doesn't match the cities. You know, dangerous dogs thing. When we did ours, of course, it didn't match the cities. Yeah. So there's going to be, and I like I say, I brought that up. That's one of the things that we need to coordinate, is to make sure everybody's regulations line up.
That's an excellent point, Commissioner. And I would think that when I worked at Manhattan 10 years ago, and I'm a little fuzzy on the exact specifications of them, but I think I wrote like updates to those regulations. And so some of the ways that they don't match up, they track in my mind. And if there was a situation under, I would think that it's so important for us to have consistency throughout the county. But also if we looked at it and said, there's some stuff that's pretty unique to Manhattan, right? We could have a second that would be adopted by us in our unincorporated area and then all the other cities. And that could be another approach, so that they only have to have 2 things in mind.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So that'd be the other thing. But in the county counselor's office, we take the view that if there's something that we can do to make it easier for our smaller cities to be a part of something that we're helping try to provide, we would be happy to put together like a model city ordinance that people could, so that all they have to do is just go adopt and move on. If that makes sense. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
That item commissioners, especially law board members, but all three commissioners, you have to keep close track of and facilities.
Mhm.
I did not, I will say this, and I don't mean to editorialize. I never wish to come to a position that the board has not come to an open governing body. But I did make a presumption that we would not be interested in assuming ownership of the animal shelter in Potawatomi County.
Right.
And being responsible for all of its maintenance and upkeep when we didn't ask for animal control to be sent to RCPD and it's not an RCPD function. So I mean, I'm just throwing it out there, commissioners, but.
I think that's challengeable with the Attorney General.
Oh, I think it would be too. I think it would be too.
Go that route if we had to.
That's why I suggest the interlocal agreement, because under Kansas law, if one or more governments that's participating in an interlocal agreement has the power to do something, then all of the participants would have that power. So we would not be relying on RCPD's power to do animal control. They would be relying on the contract that we enter into and that the city of Manhattan would enter into and presumably the other cities that wish to be provided services. And so that way there's no question. And also we have clarified, we've drawn our line in the sand forever that any animal shelter is not the responsibility of Riley County to provide as a facilities provider for RCPD.
Okay.
Thank you, commissioners.
Next commissioners, you have Megan Lewis up at 10:30.
An iron chocolate for that.
Yeah.
Catherine, get some of that.
Yeah.
Catherine was.
I may need
requested one
some
from
more,
Catherine
but you
just
know.
now.
Yeah.
Get some.
Let's start on it.
You got started.
Got started, yeah.
I shot on. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes. This is Commissioner McKinley.
Oh, okay.
Some sugar again.
Have a second.
No, I got a couple in my pocket. Already had one.
I think I've had enough.
I like dark chocolate. But even of that, I limit myself on that.
Come on, put some in the drawer.
For what's on the menu today.
I wasn't there at the last one, so. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. John, that's for today's now go.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah. Taking this check.
But I'm biased.
Sit in our desk.
I know, I can't have any.
Thank you.
And there's more than here.
How you doing, ladies?
It's a little warm.
Yeah, I had to shift the jacket. I'm not ready to melt.
Good morning, Megan Lewis with Community Corrections. I am here for a couple of reasons this morning, but we're going to start with our monthly staff update. Kind of breeze through that so we can get to the end here. So for the month of January, let's make this big. There we go. For the month of January, for our juvenile intake and assessment services, one would have thought that the cold weather would keep the kids away. However, we still had 17 intakes.
I had half the month off.
I know. We did have 17 intakes. That was up from November. We had 11. So our numbers for February have slowed down, though, I will tell you that. As you look at our youth court program, we had 33 active in the month of January and 1 in Clay County, so 34 total. And then for our juvenile services, we had a total of 9 on supervision, 8 in Riley County, 1 in Clay County. And for adult supervision, we had our daily average population on supervision was 101 total, with a combination of in treatment, on supervision, and jail, it was 110. We still have those absconders down there. Recovery court, 17 current participants, 14 out of Riley County and 3 out of Clay County. We've had a total of 55 participants since the start of the program. 14 have graduated from Riley County and 7 from Clay. We have had 9 that have been removed or revoked for different reasons. And then our next recovery court graduation will be on May 28th. Okay, I wanted to save time to get to this to make sure to give you guys an update. In September, the Riley County Treasurer, Shiloh Hager, she had presented about the county alcohol tax funds or special alcohol fund allocation. And so I wanted to give you guys an update because it is that time right now for the application process. So county alcohol tax funds are dollars that are collected from establishments within the county, and these dollars are to be allocated to alcohol education and prevention programming. On December 10th of 2001, the Riley County Board of County Commissioners had empowered the Joint Corrections Advisory Board to request proposals for county alcohol tax funds, review the proposals, and make recommendations to the commission for funding. County alcohol tax funds are administered per KSA 79-41A04. Applications have historically been released in the spring, typically from February through April, and the application process is they are approved or denied by the JCAB board, and then with recommendations being presented to the Board of County Commissioners for final approval. In the past, we've had recipients that include Blue Valley Booster Club, Friends of Riley County High School, USD 378 Riley County, and then USD 384 Blue Valley, as well as the Ogden Community Center, Sunflower Casa, and Community Corrections. Funding has been used to purchase classroom curriculum, training aids, pay for guest speakers, host community awareness events, and cover training expenses for personnel to attend drug and alcohol specific training. In 2023, the JCAB voted that for any applicant receiving special alcohol funds, they would be required to complete a final report form detailing how the funds were used. And then in addition, if there were any unexpended funds, those were to be returned to the JCAB to be deposited back into the special alcohol fund. And then earlier this season, I'm not sure if it was in January or February, but our public information officer did release a press release to try to make it kind of get it out there and get the word out there for more awareness that there was this opportunity. So the application process is open right now, and it is open until March 31st of 2025 until 5 p.m. And as of January 31st, there was $17,736.71 available. Interested parties can view the application online at rileycountyks.gov or contact Community Corrections. And this just kind of gives you an idea of what that application is. And then the follow-up report form. This last one is a summary of how the funds have been used. It's going to be small, I'm sure. Nope, not too bad.
Just want to be sure the board's clear that it's establishments outside of the city. It might have to, it says Riley County, which the city is, but we do not get those for establishments inside the city limits.
Do you have any questions about any of that? Okay. That would be all of my staff update. I will move to the next part, which I called it the first look. As the commissioners are aware, KDOC partially funds community corrections, and the remaining funding comes from Riley County through appropriations. And it's a very complicated process. The tracking structure is difficult. It is all dictated by the Kansas Department of Corrections. So then, to further complicate things, Kansas Department of Corrections operates on a fiscal schedule from July 1st to June 30th every year, which is different than the county. And then this year, in the past, the deadline for the application has been May 1st. This year, they decided to throw a wrench in it and make the deadline March 15th. So with that came a number of other challenges. The Kansas Department of Corrections changed a whole bunch of things, including the workbook process. And so we have dealt with just barrier after barrier. However, through all of it, we have worked really diligently with Brittany and Elizabeth to try to work through the process, find errors, identify problems, communicate openly to figure out what our next steps are. So the planning allocations are based on the governor's budget request to the Kansas legislature and are subject to change until the final budget is passed by the legislature. And as you recall, for FY25, we received additional funds in the amount of $84,808.55 from the Kansas Department of Corrections. At that point, those funds were they were specified how we could use them. We get those funds again this year. However, we get to apply them in the areas where we need them within, and those are for adult services, but we get to apply them how we need them. So they can be used for personnel costs. Although our working group is still very much, it's a draft. So we're working and we're still finding errors or identifying issues. Right now, as it says, Community Corrections will be requesting approximately $187,299.86 in accounting appropriations in order to fund a portion of personnel expenses not covered by the state. This preliminary number does include a COLA of 2.7%. And if the COLA does not get approved, then we'll reduce the appropriation amount to reflect that. And I can't stress enough, it's very preliminary. We have another meeting today scheduled for 1:15, I believe. So we're working.
I think our main point of bringing this to you was to try to get ahead of, I know in the years past, you felt like you were given information that needed to be approved the day of, and you hadn't heard of it before. So we've asked her to really stress that we don't have the finalized number, but this is a strong number and we're working in that direction, but we just didn't want you to be taken off guard or be able to ask questions ahead of time.
Yeah, I can't emphasize enough how the leadership of Megan and Jesse's appreciated in working with Brittany and Elizabeth. Commissioners, you would not believe the amount of time these staff members work together to bring this to you and to be on the same page, especially like the health department. They're so complex with all the grants. It really is complex. And so it's due to all four of them's great work. They work greatly together. It's greatly appreciated.
I have appreciated their support beyond words. I can't really articulate that. So.
Well, and Megan said that it's complicated and everything changed. I mean, there is nothing fun about looking at the state spreadsheet. And Brittany was just like, who designs this? Who made this? Every page is different. The adult is a different format than the juvenile. And why?
I think Elizabeth's word was convoluted. It's just so convoluted. And
That's the state.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
It really is.
Yeah. Brittany has some ideas on how to make it a little better.
Yeah, forcers, but yeah, it changed drastically. I told Jesse, I said, I just got used to last year's version and now they changed it and I can't read this one.
Well, changed, and then they moved it forward on us. Two things that shouldn't go together. So.
Yeah.
the legislative session time got moved up to next
Yes.
typical 120 days.
So maybe planning the
90
whole
days.
entire change should be decided differently, so. Yeah.
Well, that'd be planning ahead. Yeah.
So like she said, we'll meet again today. I think we are really close, but these guys worked on it over the weekend. We had some questions about workman's comp and stipends, on-call stipends, and I think we're close.
And then remind them what date you're coming to present for final approval.
I don't have that in front of me, but it is March 10th. The morning of March 10th.
So the same week it's due, but
We had we understand how complicated this is. It's just, it's tough, but it's the day of and you're like, you can't ask questions or
And we wanted to
you
make
have some
sure.
questions about the numbers and how it coincides with what we're gonna do on the county side, and you just don't get the opportunity to ask those.
Mhm.
That's
And I
the-
think you were going to be at a conference that week before, so we want to make sure everyone was here to hear the same information. And so, yes.
And I will say at that time, we're also gonna
Brittany.
ask. Oh, yeah, sorry.
It helps a lot. You
Yeah,
get
absolutely.
complaints from people.
Yeah, Brittany Phillips, Budget and Finance Officer. So at that same time, we're also going to ask for the Riley County appropriation amount because we'll have solid numbers. Normally we've waited until our budget process, but I think it just makes sense to have it all approved at the exact same time. So we'll have that request in there as well.
But there is one challenge there. We haven't actually decided on COLA yet. We'd be deciding on that specifically.
So yeah, so that's why we put in here, like if COLA does not get approved, we would reduce the appropriation and we bring that back when we come back.
That works.
Which is very similar to how we're working health department budgets as well.
and we should just. Sorry, this is Bernie's realm, but just, I mean, so in the past,
You would be committing to the appropriation amount minus COLA depending.
Right.
But really and truthfully, you've done that in the past because we've submitted this stuff to the state saying this is what Riley County, will support before you've approved the appropriation. So it makes sense to do it at the same time when we've really been in fact doing that all along.
Similar to legislature, we don't get it if it's not appropriated by you guys at the very end.
Yeah.
And that's not done until you guys, as the commissioners, approve the final budget.
Sorry. And their salary numbers in here that they're gonna submit to KDOC will also include COLA. So if you did, say, no, we're not approving COLA, that'll change not just the appropriation, but the application process, and then we'll go back and amend KDOC budget.
yeah. Jesse,
Would like to point out that we also have an expectation of Clay County's contribution.
Right.
Contribution in there as well. And so and it is all part of the work in progress, but I think that's important for you to understand that we would expect Clay County to contribute as well. And you've had those conversations.
Absolutely.
And I think on that point, it's important for our commissioners to understand when this staff went up there and presented to Clay County, they were very receptive
yeah.
and very open to it, which is great because you don't always get that.
Right.
Good to acknowledge that.
And
Yeah.
different subject, but when Brittany and I were there, about 2 weeks ago, was it 2 weeks ago? I did talk to them about their opioid settlement funds and they encouraged me to just send them a request via email. So I guess I will present to you guys, getting permission to request to use those funds for our drug and alcohol testing in Clay County. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. I should have included that today and there was a number of other things on my brain. Do you guys have any questions about what we presented?
And maybe did you ever fill that Clay County position?
We have filled it with a gentleman by the name of Damian Kennedy.
I'm sure I must have signed it one time.
Yeah.
He started after the snow day.
Yes.
Crazy snowstorm. His first day was supposed to be that week and we had to bump it up to Wednesday, so that started. He's doing great.
Yeah. That's working out well.
Yes, it is.
Good.
Yes, he's very much still in training and he's gonna be for a while. That's just the process, but he's picking up really quick and he's made some connections up there. So it's been really nice to see that.
He brought him by to meet our office.
I did.
And we didn't scare him off, which I was glad.
People are not scared. Do you guys have any other questions for me? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Thanks, Jesse. Thanks, Shiloh. And 45, Miss Anna Burst. The lady of the day. Busy day for you today.
To say the least. It is a lot, isn't it? Good morning, Commissioners. Ann Burson, the Appraiser's Office. I'm here this morning to request to post and refill the residential appraisal supervisor position as soon as possible. As previously mentioned, effective March 14th, the Assistant County Appraiser position will become vacant. This role has been continuously held since 2006. As the needs of the Appraiser's Office have evolved, the scope of this position was redefined to better address modern challenges and departmental requirements, allowing for the specialization in commercial or residential appraisal. The revised Assistant County Appraiser position will be filled by Steve Shirley, effective March 10th. Steve specializes in commercial and will continue overseeing the commercial department and handling responsibilities related to commercial properties, in addition taking on the broader duties of the Assistant County Appraiser. This transition leaves a critical void in the broader duties of the This position leaves a void in the residential and highlighted the need to establish residential appraiser supervisor position. Description. By creating specialized leadership roles for both commercial and residential, we can enhance upward training opportunities and ensure long-term sustainability within the department. So attached for your review is the residential supervisor position description. This role aligns with the department's long-term goals, emphasizing leadership and a well-defined scope of duties and responsibilities. This is not a new position, but an essential component of our team structure. When fully staffed, the department consists of 17 full-time and 2 part-time as-needed positions, with each full-time role playing a vital part in the daily operations. This position is particularly critical in overseeing the day-to-day functions of the residential team, which is going to ensure that quality, efficiency, and continuity. There's no fiscal impact. This position is already budgeted for. And I would recommend approving the posting and refilling of the residential appraisal supervisor position as soon as possible. Do you have any questions? The position description is included in here, also for review.
Truthfully, it is a new position, but it's not a new headcount. The position itself doesn't exist.
Sure.
Headcount.
Didn't have any questions.
Let's see. I would make a motion to approve the posting and refilling of the residential appraisal supervisor position as soon as possible.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the posting and refilling of the residential appraisal supervisor position. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Commissioners. We just have intergovernmental luncheon at noon. Yeah. Hey, Vivian, is the luncheon at the regular location, not the last one?
Right.
Just want
That was the
everyone to
only
be
time
clear.
this year will be at that location.
Okay,
So
good.
that's where Rock and Case is.
Mhm.
And I don't know what the menu is today.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Well, we'll hold you responsible.
I would expect no less.
I want to chat with you, post meeting.
Okay.
Real quick. No, she's not in trouble.
Kind of sync.
Yeah.
We need to adjourn after the meeting.
Yep. You make the motion now to adjourn into it. Mhm.
Let's see. Adjourn.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we adjourn after this afternoon's intergovernmental luncheon.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn after the intergovernmental luncheon. All in favor?
Aye.